Got hair, might as well rock it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to TopFCTV. We are back with another show. We have a great panel here of YouTubers, pundits, fans, whatever you want to call them. They're here to talk on the beautiful game. And of course, you know, we thought international break is here, so we figured it's going to be boring. We're not going to have a show. We're just going to be talking about Messi and Uruguay fighting and England and everything else. But today, the Premier League said, no, you got to talk about me every single day. So they're docking points of Everton. They're trying to put Chelsea and Manchester City in jail for life. Threaten them with relegation. We're going to talk about Arsenal as well, as Arteta might get banned. Everybody gets banned around here in the Premier League. What's happening? We're going to talk a little bit of Ramsdale and his daddy issues, and he can't keep his daddy, in track. And then Manchester United, of course. It's a Premier League show. We have to talk about United at some point in time. And apparently, Jim Ratcliffe is coming on the scene, and he wants to bring Ferguson back on the scene. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We don't have a United representative, but all these guys know United very well, and they can talk about it. And hopefully, if we have time, we'll talk about the Saudi League coming and wrecking everything up, trying to take Salah, Sancho, Son, and also Richarlison as I read this Sun article. So we'll talk about it. But let's start with Chelsea, Man City, Everton. Listen, first of all, I'm going to let you guys have your piece. However, I talk football. I'm a football guy. When it comes to money and what we spent on, what we didn't spend on, I have no idea. I'm not a numbers guy. I'm not a financial advisor. But a lot of you guys might be. Definitely this guy in the scene right here, the beloved Hamza, the second most famous city guy in the world. And the third one is right there, Cortines on the corner. He was in an argument just a minute ago. He was in an argument about this situation. I have no idea, again, what's happening. I know that Everton, I think, is getting punished for being broke or not spending enough money. I don't know what's going on. But I'm going to let you guys have it. I'm going to let you guys have your piece. So what's going on with Everton? What did they do? And how does that affect Manchester City and Chelsea? Whoever wants to take the lead, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm doing it. I'm doing it because if we let one of the City guys go first, then it's bias. It's all no. Okay, let's get the Everton part of this because that's the actual thing. Let's stop trying to go with this third world conspiracy, whatever. Look, Everton. When you're a Premier League club and there's a rule book, it's pretty big. You have to sign it, and everything in the rules, you have to follow them. I think the rule's dumb. I think FFP's dumb. I don't think it works. I think a reform would be cool, but they probably won't. Whatever. But yeah, Everton broke the rules, and when you what's it called? When you commit a crime or whatever, and someone else gets to decide your punishment, that's your fault for putting yourself in that predicament. Because now you don't have any control if it's a just punishment. If you didn't do it in the first place, you wouldn't be facing a consequence, a fair one or an unfair one. So that's on Everton. The club's been run like crap for many, many years. You're buying players at crazy prices, and it's not improving the team. The Europa League, I remember they're playing Atalanta and Apollon Limassol, and they were terrible. They're absolutely terrible. And it's been a decline since. Ancelotti got them up to 8th, whatever. And then it's just fallen off again. They've been battle relegation. This will be the third straight year of doing it. And that's for a reason. Because they're not a well-run club. They like I said, they run the transfers have been the biggest issue. And then also the stuff with fans and all that. There's a lot into it. So Everton did something wrong. And I don't know why more people aren't actually saying they're the cheaters in this. Because they got convicted.
Yeah,
they got convicted.
That is true. Go ahead. I think Laurent wants to. You want to say something?
Yeah. I think it's a lot more complicated than that, right? It's Mashiri. He buys the team. He's there with Ken Bates. I think he the guy who just passed away, their chairman, who'd been around a long time. And what they're accused of is taking the COVID era and all the sort of, we roll it on for a little bit longer. But they sort of took the concept of we would have sold these players if it had not been for COVID and gave those players a value. So it was like, oh, yeah, we would have sold Calvert-Lewin for $50 million. Oh, we would have sold Decore for $50 million. But we didn't get a chance to and they put it on their books as saying that they did, or that they did creative accounting in the sense of like, hey, yes, we have this issue with FFP and we have a lot of things happen. And I think it's really unfair that they gave teams a year, but they did this creative accounting where they booked sold players and never sold them on this idea of what the players' sell was. Now, they were run badly. They had two competing sort of things. You had Masheri on one side and then the sort of Everton old school on the other, who kind of were like, give it to Moyes. He's a cheap Scotsman, stereotypes aside. He'll keep this team running just fine and then go from there. And they had that competing thing. And that's where you had this buying of teams and different managers. And James is on Everton. And now, it's all over the place. And so that came to roost with a lot of teams. It's everywhere, right?
Now,
and the reason... go ahead.
No, so, okay, so they're going to get... That's a fact. They're going to get docked 10 points. And
they admitted it. They said, yes, we did.
And they're going to eventually, try to... appeal for it. They're going to try to, but at the end of the day,
it'll be 5 points. It won't be
at the end of the day. What it stands right now is 10 points, and it's
already been deducted.
Yeah, it's already been deducted. If you look at the Premier League standings, but we can only talk about what we see, and that is deadly, fatal for Everton. They could get relegated, and so I'm gonna transition into what people really want to talk about, unfortunately, for Everton fans. Hopefully you get this stuff squared away. And I want to hear Hamza's opinion on this. By the way, I didn't introduce the panel, but we got a Giuseppe up here on my left corner, right corner, Arsenal fan. Will, of course, Tottenham Hotspur fan. The best mic in the game is Will's. Then you got Steve, Newcastle fan. And then you got Cortines up there. He is a Manchester City fan. And on the bottom, the great Hamza, a City fan. So I want to transition into this, though, Hamza. What is going on? What did Manchester City do that is causing everybody in Twitter today to want them and wish them ill will? Like they want the evil to come upon Manchester City today. And what did Chelsea do as well? But you were into an argument earlier today. So explain to me a little bit what's happening with the citizens.
Yeah, I think the thing is, what's happened today was completely a different case. Was the Everton case, but the reason why people are looking at Man City, it's not every football fan. It's certain football fans are looking at it. Yeah, these are the football fans basically who've been competing with Man City, who have fought and have failed, and these are Manchester United fans, Liverpool fans, and Arsenal fans. I've always said it. The thing is, I believe that every club is corrupt. There's no doubt. There's no doubt. Yeah. No one is squeaky clean. No one at all. No one at all. Even including Spurs.
Will says Spurs are pure.
And including managers. No managers squeaky clean. Including the great Alex Ferguson, who used to be well known for tapping up players. He used to be well known for tapping up players. Wenger had tapped up players so many times. And it's well known, it's well documented. Yeah. The fact that Man City are being called cheats is because of, I think it's jealousy. When you've won titles and dominated and for years, and you've changed the way football works, and Man City has brought a lot of good into the country. Like, we're going back in the 90s when Man City were not around and Chelsea were not around. English league wasn't the best in the world. Let's be honest with ourselves. English league wasn't that old. English was
before City came on the scene.
Yeah, it wasn't. No one used to watch much English football.
You don't think so? You don't think they were watching Chelsea? You don't think they were watching the?
It was Serie A. Serie A.
Serie A was the one.
Serie A was there when in the 90s, late 80s. But the people were watching Bale and Spurs. They were watching Chelsea. They were watching Manchester United win.
Yeah, but the local lads. But even in the Serie A, it was so popular that it was being televised in the UK on free TV. That kids like us, we grew up here. We would stay up watching Serie A on Saturday highlights, then Sunday the games. And I remember sitting here, Football Italia. Why? Because we looked up to these players. The R9, the Zidane, the Edgar Davids, the George Wares, the greatest players, Maldini's. They were there. This league, I never looked up to this league. All I saw, this league changed when
But
we started investing in players from abroad.
but let me ask you this though, Hamza.
Money.
Let me
No,
ask.
Wenger was the one.
Okay,
That
so
did it wrong.
that's a different debate. Let me
I'm,
ask
I'm
you
coming
though,
to the
straight up.
City one.
Yeah, what has City done for them to be in this situation right now?
Yeah,
That's what I'm asking.
the fact that I listen, the issues about this FFP, yeah, a City cheated like the system, have they cheated? And listen, there's no doubt about it. I'll say everyone's cheated the system. Everyone, every single one. Ferguson would never have been there if he didn't cheat the system. Ferguson would never have been there. You had to. In fact, he got exposed by his own player Abstam on his book, and he had to sell him the next day. People don't talk about that. Why? Because it would damage Ferguson's reputation. So it happened. So City winning has made people think, hold on, they only won because they invested in that. All those players, they bought all those players, they bought the league. But to me, I believe if you've got the money, you should have the right to spend it. Unless the money is illegal, unless you got the illegal money. But it's like me. If I've got my money and I've been told, the government are telling me you cannot spend your money, that's your 10,000 in pocket. We'll only allow you to spend £10 a week. I'm going to be upset. That's my money. I should be allowed to be spending my money. So all this FFP about protecting clubs, this about it's there to make sure clubs don't go bankrupt. It's a lie. I believe this rule was there to allow and is made by this FA, who, if you look at the history, FA is run by certain guys, for certain guys from certain clubs. Rick Parry, Liverpool, David Gill, Liverpool. They go to the top. They work for UEFA. So all these cartel clubs, I know I'm going to talk about. I just think that these clubs, the three major clubs, want to be controlling this league. And to them to see a new boys coming in town.
But Chelsea is in the mix though. Chelsea is also being accused of this.
Yes, because Chelsea is a new boy in town. Chelsea have come in and they've snatched the chain of these big clubs that are supposed to be relaxing, winning titles. They're saying they're being mocked. My chains are being snatched. I've been mocked. I'm no longer the biggest club in the country. I'm no longer the biggest club in my city anymore because these guys are winning Champions League. I've never won Champions League in my life. Yeah, I have to blame. I have to look to blame someone for my failures. And who do I blame? The guy who's got it. These guys are the reason. So City, to me, I believe City are being accused for several things. 5 main charges. One, the Mancini issue, which apparently they paid Mancini offshores, which I believe, if we really believe, it shows you how biased these fans are. This fan base, if I had arrested any one of you and I told you you're guilty, yeah, would you have accepted it? You say no. It's innocent to proven guilty. So why are we being classed as guilty when we've not even gone to court?
True. That's fair.
This is what I say. Because of jealousy.
Trial by
have failed.
But Hamza, you're very good. You haven't answered my question. What is City being accused of?
Accused for several things. Financial.
There's too many to list.
Okay. Let's talk about the Mancini. The Mancini issue, which I believe the Mancini issue. So they've been accused of this few issues about cooking the books, about the sponsorship issues, about the same charges that we were taken by UEFA. UEFA took the same charges.
Yeah.
Same charges. Because the Rui Pinto emails is the reason why it all started. Rui Pinto, the guy who's been arrested, leaked email to a major big is it Die Spiegel
news publication.
Yeah, and he leaked all these emails of City's allegations of cheating. UEFA found us guilty. They were meant to ban us for 2 years. We went against UEFA. We took it to court, and we were found not guilty. We were found not guilty.
No, that's not true.
We were found only guilty on one occasion, one thing. If you ask, let me prove your fact. I'll prove you. I'll check this, Chris. Yeah, I'll prove you. And I'll ask an Arsenal fan, why would I paid 10 million? Why did I pay that 10 million pounds?
Huh?
So I want to ask anyone here. Why did City pay the 10 million pounds?
For what?
We paid a fine for violations of FFP on like the on some transfers.
Yeah, specifically. Do you know why we paid the fine?
To shut them up, to tell them to go
No.
away.
See, if you ask many people, people say City were found guilty, otherwise they would never have paid the fine. It's true we paid the fine, but we were found not guilty of all charges except one. City.
Hold on. I gotta correct you though, Hams. I gotta correct you.
Okay, go ahead.
Not
Will.
guilty is not what you were found. You were found inconclusive evidence, right? And not enough evidence to convict.
Or
difference between being not guilty,
nolo,
right?
No.
And not enough evidence to convict.
But there was no evidence. Yeah, that means there's no.
Doesn't mean you're innocent.
There could.
It doesn't. By that same token, it doesn't mean you're guilty.
No, if
go ahead, Lorraine. I think
if I get caught for robbery, and we go to court, there's no evidence to show that I've robbed. Does that make me guilty?
It doesn't make you innocent either.
Guilty, but he only got away because of we didn't find any evidence for him.
City are guilty. We're guilty of sin. We're guilty all the way, 100%.
Okay, so that's two City fans right there.
What we're guilty of is trying to win. We saw that City. It was open. We knew where they were. We said they're weak. United are weak. We're going to buy that brand. We're going to own that town. And they spent the money. What we're guilty of is knocking United off their perch, knocking Arsenal off their perch, competing with Abramovich, and lifting the entire league by pushing them. Those clubs were sitting on their ass doing nothing. They thought the Champions League was theirs forever. Wenger said, oh, top four is a trophy. It's not a trophy if we knock you out of the goddamn top four. And City went. We saw we were behind Arsenal. And what did? We bought your players and grabbed you by the foot and pulled you underneath us. And then we went to the Champions League and we took on Wenger. We took Tevez from United with money. And we're guilty. We're guilty of wanting to win. And if you want to relegate us for wanting to win, we'll go down. We'll go down with $1 billion in the bank, and we'll be back tomorrow, and we'll win the league the next year after.
And that's
bullshit.
Not going to happen.
That's not
going to happen.
Listen to me.
Yeah.
FFP is a drawbridge, and they didn't want any more barbarians at the gate. They didn't want their dance party to end. I've gone through this timeline with you, Chris. It's Chelsea first, comes in. They knock out Arsenal. They take their spot. And Arsenal like, whoa, what do we do? It's financial doping. And then Ancelotti wins those league. Then it's City comes in and we take United's spot. And Ferguson's there going, oh, noisy neighbors. And who hasn't been struggling to get in the top four these years in the 10 years since? Arsenal and United. Who were the teams in the 90s who were banking on that Champions League money the whole time? Arsenal and United. And who are the two old dogs who had to jet because they couldn't cope with the new game? Wenger and Ferguson. This is a young companies. These are young owners now. These are corporate, sharp operators. You can say whatever you want about City, but as much as I've said United might be the worst run club in all of world football, City are the best run club. They have the lethal combination. Best run, most money. Cannot defeat best run, most money. With the best coach. And we took Barca's best group. We've got Ferran. We've got Chica Bajaristan. It's City wanting to win. We cheated. Sure.
So I got to let that was a nice little rant by Laurent.
Beautiful.
But I want to let Will have his piece, and of course Giuseppe up there because you mentioned Arsenal. So we'll go ahead, Will. What you got to say, man?
Yeah. So I mean, you guys know why all this is happening, right? You know who
the
main orchestrator
I do.
behind all this stuff is, right?
I think so.
This is Daniel Levy. Right? He's been lobbying the league to put in all of these FFP rules. He's been lobbying. He's the one that orchestrates all of this stuff. He is the puppet master behind the strings. And you know why it is? Because the model that he's trying to build is an infrastructure entertainment model system. That's why we're building hotels, golf courses, all this stuff, right? So the tighter the ring is around other clubs' neck, the more profitable Tottenham is, because we are light years ahead of all the other clubs in the Premier League on extraordinary infrastructure and events.
Revenue.
Right? Yeah. So that's how we've grown the business-wise. We almost make as much money annually as Manchester United, Arsenal, City, Liverpool, all of the big clubs. And we haven't won anything in we haven't won the league in 60 years. But the reason why is because Daniel Levy is the oldest chairman in the league, right? He's the one that's in behind the scenes all the time and all of these investigations. And, you know, he may just get you because apparently the FFP rules are changing again next year.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I have a friend, Mike, who's been on the show. He was a former partner on my show. And I've argued that some of the Spurs fans are always Levy out. I'm like, who are you? You got the best. You have one of the best operators there is. Even though, yes, he's made mistakes. He chased Mourinho. At least he wants to win and he wants to make money.
Oh,
and
he doesn't want to win.
I don't begrudge him for trying to use whatever leverage he has. Good. All's fair in love and war, right? That's fine. Like I said, City can go down. We'll go down with $1 billion in the bank, and we'll come right back up.
Giuseppe,
we've been down before.
Giuseppe, what's your take on this?
First of all, I'm telling you now, Levy does not want to win at Tottenham. The only thing he wants to win is bank balance. That's the only thing he cares about winning, and that's why Spurs fans.
He wants to win, but he wants to win without spending a dime of his own money.
Yeah, right? Which won't ever happen.
And that's why he's changing the rules so that he can win without spending a dime.
That's like saying I want. That's like saying I want to get it.
But once all of these rules that he's been lobbying for over the past 20 years finally level the field to where you guys can no longer, you know, cook the books and your sponsorship deals, right? Of your owner's cousin's nephew's niece, right? Giving 30 billion pounds to the club for some, you know, online web store site or something that, you know, nobody ever heard of that they just create out of thin air. Once all of that goes away, then Tottenham is going to be decades above everybody else's in the amount of money that they can spend.
Yeah, but 100%. I think Spurs. Listen, if that happens, Spurs, but I don't know if that will fully happen. But to Man City, the thing is, listen, if Man City are found guilty, it is what it is. You got to get the punishment. If you ain't followed the rules, you got to have the punishment. It's as simple as that. Yeah. I'm not one that screams that you should have stripped titles and all that. I don't really. You've won it now. It's done. It's dusted. Who wants that? Oh, what? You finished second. You get the title now. Who gives a crap? You won it by you didn't win it. So for me, it's as simple as that. Listen, I'm a very innocent till proven guilty person. For players, for anyone, whenever there's anything that comes out and the media loves to put their 2 pence in about players and this and that before they know what the truth is. I'm not for that. So I'll show the same energy for City. Of course, everyone wants City to be punished. That comes with the territory of being the best team in the country. When Arsenal were the best team in the country, you saw the same thing. When Man United were the best team in the country, you saw the same thing. Everyone trying to knock them off the perch. It comes with the territory. You got to be used to it. Yeah. But like for me to say, with like and even with the Everton one, they got their 10-point deduction. They're lucky because they're in a poor Premier League season this year. They'll stay up purely because the teams that have come up are crap. Luton, Sheffield United, Burnley.
Yeah, they're only 2 points off the line, even with the 10-point deduction, right?
Man, but a poor team or Everton is not looking good, and you take 10 points away.
They're looking way better than the teams at the bottom, though.
They were on 14 points. And now they're only a couple points out of the relegation zone now. They're still on the same points as Luton and
I agree. I agree with GP. I think Everton are going to be fine. They're lucky. This is literally the worst group that's come up. You might stay up on 34. It's that bad.
It's that bad.
I think Dyche is probably like, okay, he'll roll up his sleeves. They'll do a siege mentality, and Everton will stay up on a 10-point deduction.
My only issue with this is that, like, we're talking about Abramovich. We're talking about years ago. Like, why does this stuff take so long? Because actually, the culpable people.
Hear of Europe? Europe is the most bureaucratic, absurd, slow place in the world. You could kill someone tomorrow, and you won't go to jail for 5 years. It's Europe. Yeah. This is how they do things. It's very chill.
But it's crazy because it's crazy because I mean, probably the people that are culpable of all this stuff are not in the club. I don't know about City. I mean, but at the end of the day, even those players, the people that signed, that they signed, everybody's just have moved on. And to a certain extent, City have won the Champions League. Chelsea have won the Champions League recently. And so all that stuff, you can't taint that stuff. I mean,
Todd B ratted himself out, right? So
yeah.
Well, okay.
So here's the thing that I do think about, and this is one of the things that I don't think is really thought through. We know the pyramid is sacrosanct. There are revenue levels for every spot you finish in the division. There's money for the Champions League. There's money for making the Champions League. Yeah. And this is what I think, I was writing about this and I shared it in our chat. I don't know if, Chris, you got to see it, but baseball did this for American fans. We had the steroid era, and essentially our owners and our fans took the league and ran it through the mud and destroyed it. Basically said, this whole 15-year period, the players you loved, everything about it, because the commissioner was best friends with the home run champion, let's get rid of it. Let's not have Hall of Fame. Let's say it didn't count. Let's say all these terrible things, and essentially lost fans because of that, right? Like, I never got players I loved get a chance to go to Hall of Fame. If you take City or Everton, well, Everton's probably one off. They go down, they have the thing, they come back up. But if you really go after City and really think about, okay, we're going to vacate championships. Does that mean that Liverpool are now 3-time Premier League champions? Does that make Inter Milan the Champions League winner? Does Leicester then sue the league and say, we finished 5th twice? Where's my Champions League money? All the teams that got relegated, they get moved up a slot. Does Norwich go, hey, I wasn't supposed to go down? The issue is, do you cut off your nose to spite your face? Now, I understand Daniel Levy. I understand Arsenal. I understand a lot of the American owners are like, what? This is crazy. That's why they're trying, not Super League, but I'm sure they want to close shop. They want more controls. But if you pull this scab and you say, let's say they throw the book at City, like if it's 10 points for $20 million on Everton's books, and we want to say City get, I don't know, title stripped and a 25-point reduction.
That's not going to happen.
I don't know. Let's just say they do something unprecedented, because City stands alone, right? They don't have any homies. They don't have any crew. They're the invader, right? They're the Visigoths knocking down the gate. They're, Hannibal with the elephants coming over the mountain. They don't have friends, right? They have money, but they don't have friends. They don't have prestige. They don't have Agnelli coming in with Juve and the UEFA board. They don't have friends. They have one friend in PSG. Maybe.
Newcastle.
In Newcastle, it's Newcastle, man.
But UAE and Arabs,
I don't know about that.
Friends either. Those countries don't get along with each other.
Yeah, well, no, that's true. But
you know why we're friends? Because we don't go after you. Because we're not.
Yeah,
we don't.
Like,
I don't
have a problem with Manchester City. I don't like. I don't think City. I don't think the things that City have done have been necessarily that bad. Yeah, they've cooked the books in creating false businesses or whatever to get sponsorships, or whatever. But I mean, that's technically legal, right? The Premier League can't dictate who can start a business and sponsor a football club, right? Yeah, it's a bit sketchy, but it's not the same as paying people under the table and not reporting it like Chelsea did, or saying you sold players that you didn't sell, right? That's like straight up being dishonest, right? There's a difference for me, I think, in the integrity of a club between lying, right, and then exploiting loopholes.
Well, right? That's the thing with City is like the once they did the one lie, they then had to report the lie every year, and that's why there's 150 charges. It's 1 year of like 10 charges, and they multiply because they go year by year by year by year. So I think the thing that gets frustrating for me is like you get this concept of fans just hear 115 and they just assume that this big number. Some of them are minuscule, or like
I've read them.
I've read them too. It's kind of junk. It's like
the locker room.
Yeah, it's really bizarre stuff. Now, I did make this analogy. We don't have to get into a political discussion, but City are like Donald Trump. Everyone's coming after us. We're taking all the charges, all the hits. Nothing's sticking. They're trying everything. They're throwing a kitchen sink at us.
True.
And if they get us, they get us. If they don't, they don't. But, we got the money. We'll fight to the end. We'll deny it till the end. And when the time comes, we'll take it or we won't. Like I said, City's going down with $1 billion in the bank. We'll come right back up. I'm not worried about it.
I was gonna say quickly about first. I was talking about that 10 million. The reason why we got fined. So we took a similar case like that, which you ever told us that if we're found guilty, we should be banned for 2 years and fined on top of that. When he was taken to cast of appeal, the only reason we got fined 10 million. And they quashed everything else. They found, in fact, in the report, if you read the cast report, which is over 200 to 300 pages, it talks about it in detail, like about there's no evidence about one thing I'll talk about. Let's say, for example, was that talk about City over exaggerated their sponsors. That's one of the things that people talk about. And they said the word that they said is City did not, that those sponsorship were not over exaggerated, but they were fair value. And those are the terms they used: fair value into the market. They were fair. This is the Etihad sponsors, which a lot of people.
Of course, they're fair value, but they were created out of thin air.
Right? But they questioned that. Were these sponsors related to Manchester City? They said no. There was no evidence to approve that. Yeah, the UEFA tried to suggest that some of these are backhanders of City. There was evidence, no evidence to suggest that. All this, there was apparently a talk about we paying a different company called ADUG, who then paid us for a transfer fee.
Yeah, but the country in which owns your club is state-run, right? So which means the state owns every company in that place. And all it takes
we're not. We're owned by the guy who runs the state. It's his money.
Yeah.
Right, right. But that's what I'm saying. It's owned by the state. And so the state dictates.
It's not owned by state.
No. It's not owned by the state. What I'm saying, every business in that country is owned, controlled by the state. The state can call up any company and say, you must do this, and they have to follow, right?
But that's hypothesis. That's suggesting. That's a suggestion, but that's not fact.
But that's the government structure
Hamza,
in the UAE.
I think a key piece here, and this is, I'd rather talk about other things, but the City thing, that's a key piece is, to your point, we did go to CAS, we did fight, we did won. There's a little bit of a double indemnity in that we're relitigating something that already happened. The thing is that the build stuff actually has the email chain of custody that says, hey, are you going to inflate the price of this one? So we won on one, but then the other one is reopened because we literally are, there's emails that say, hey, this actually, let's juice this one, let's juice that one.
Well, they're two different organizations. It's not technically double jeopardy because what UEFA has their own FFP rules that are different from the leagues, right? Yes.
No, but it's the same charges.
It is the same charges, correct.
It's the same club, right?
Thing. It's the same thing, and that's what
it's not double jeopardy. You have, it's like, say you committed a crime in two different countries, right?
Yes.
Both countries could try you for that same one crime.
Yeah. But the fact that it's the same charges and the ethics of that, the only reason why we paid 10 million, because City refused to cooperate with UEFA from beginning. And that's what they said.
And we're still doing
it. The only reason why you're paying this, why did you not cooperate from them from the beginning? We said we don't trust them. We don't trust. And
you
it's
shouldn't
true.
have to cooperate with anybody if they want to find you guilty.
Exactly. And that's what
you
they
do
said.
your job. Don't know. I'm not gonna help
you
put me in
have
jail.
to cooperate with the regulations. And the regulators.
The other piece that City will probably argue is the information about the team was ill-begotten. It's hacked emails. Is really the reason this thing even exists. Is the Panama Papers that have, with Chelsea, with tons and tons of Epstein Island. They have so much stuff about so many different things. The Panama Papers is the reason we have this thing. And you discussed that Silva guy going to jail and all that stuff. So it's all really shady. It all feels like we're targeted. We could talk about something else. I'm so bored.
So
the world is corrupt. I don't give a fuck.
Liverpool needs to get deducted points for hacking your scouting system.
We don't have an LFC representative, so or else it would be, because Liverpool fans get really, really offended.
And I hope they put Joe Lewis in jail.
Yeah. So now let's move on to another club that gets talked to almost every day on YouTube, at least, and that is Arsenal Football Club. We have Giuseppe here to talk to us as well about Arsenal. Of course, everybody can jump on, but what's happening with Mikel Arteta? Are referees not allowed to talk anymore, or is there a fine line between talking, ranting, complaining, and actually accusing somebody of, to be technical, Arteta didn't accuse anybody of doing anything. However, there are rules, I guess, in the Premier League.
It is a disgrace.
Yeah,
a disgrace.
I generally think it's a disgrace. Listen, I said it on my other video. I'll say it again. Listen, I think it's disgraceful. If you listen, for every football fan, I ask every football fan, you should be finding this disgraceful. If you like Arteta or don't like Arteta, if you agree with what he said or you don't agree with what he said, because what they've basically told us is players and managers haven't got freedom of speech. They're not allowed to say what they feel. He got reprimanded and he's been told he's getting bans and this and that for speaking the truth. So they're basically saying you've got to go to the interview, and when the interviewer asks you about VAR, you've got to lie. You've got to lie through your teeth. You've got to say what they want to hear to not get people onto the referee's back. And that he was never personal to a specific referee or anything like that. That I'd understand. If he called out Mike Dean, and he said, "Oh, Mike Dean, ex-ref, da da da." That's when you could say that was a bit too far. But he's just talking about the game. And furthermore, forget about the goal, the 2 sending offs were 2 errors that they have officially said were errors in the game. So he's saying the game was poor refereeing, and you've answered that by saying 2 decisions in that game were wrong. So he's not telling any lies, and that's what they don't like to hear. So to put him and say you've got to be banned or this or that, I think is disgraceful. And it's just, that's why players don't want to come out and say stuff when it comes to anything. It's not just about refs, it's about anything, because they know the media, the system, it's all going to come crashing down on them, and they're going to be the losers in the end, because it is what it is. The second Arteta said that, he's getting told the pundits, all their Gary Neville's on there going the rare tear, this, that. At the end of the day,
I love Gary Neville. I don't care.
Referee, the pundits, yeah, this is what pissed me off, because pundits, yeah, they're allowed to go on to their shows and Sky Sports and say this manager's a disgrace, this manager's rubbish, this manager should lose his job, this player's a disgrace. That's fine. They can call out players. They can call out a manager.
Boy, though, that's Merson who does that. That's Paul Merson. That's
I'm talking all pundits. There's Souness.
Oh, that's Merce the most, man. That's Merce all the way.
Yeah. So Merce is Chelsea boy. He's Arsenal, but he's more Chelsea. Come on. But regardless,
he's coked out betting on horses.
But they're allowed to say all this. They're allowed to say all this about players and managers. But if a player and a manager calls out a refereeing decision at the end of a game, they're not allowed to do that. So for me, it makes no sense. But the problem is, because of the way the football scene is now, even online, it's all banter now. Yeah, it's all banter now. So everyone's just laughs at it. Arteta's got banned. This. If it's Man City, Man City, ha ha ha. Instead of actually coming together and saying, you know what? Yeah, it's a bullshit. It's bullshit, because one day
here's the thing, though. You should be actually one of the reasons that, and I'll talk to the Americans. One of the reasons we love it so much is the games actually matter, unlike half of our sports. Where in the NBA, it's literally about who got traded and who's going there. Nobody watches the game. Nobody cares about the game. Baseball is just killed itself. Like I said, it's kind of just
billion games.
Too many games. The NFL still has it, but you get a lot of Rodgers and what's going on off field. The Premier League is pretty much on the field, because you only get the 2 interviews, right? The ref, the manager talks before the game and after the game, before every game, before after, and that's it. You don't get players. You don't get anything. But I think the reason that they have to come down on the referee, and I agree mostly with what you're saying around Arteta, is that when you start to question the integrity of the games, even if they did mess up, you can start, because sport requires a level of magic thinking. It really doesn't matter. Who wins doesn't matter. None of it really matters. And we all subscribe to make it matter. But once you start to peel the veneer of whether it's truth or not, or whether it doesn't, it can collapse really quickly. And if you look at, think about boxing in the 70s or the 80s, where people are like, this is not on the up and up. So you cannot, as a league, you can't let people hammer on the refs. Although if you're Jurgen Klopp, you can complain about 12:30 start times forever. Although they did get jobbed on that Spurs game. So
the thing I'll say about that, though, the thing I'll just quickly touch on with that, sorry. But I understand what you're saying, but at the same time, it's not general, just a little one referee mistake and now it's all blown up. This season has been disgraceful throughout the whole season. And it's not only that, they've brought in VAR, and VAR in itself, the refs have come out and told us with their own mouths that it's corrupt. Because Mike Dean came out in a podcast and said he didn't give a decision when Cucurella's hair got pulled against Spurs.
Yeah, but doesn't corruption mean like there's something behind to where I'm paying you so you don't?
Corruption could mean they're thinking, news stories. We'll get views. You do these talking points.
Yeah, that's all it is. Yes,
it makes the most sense.
We are talking about him a lot now.
Exactly.
Mike Dean come out and said with his own words, he saw the Cucurella hair pull against Spurs and that should have been a foul and whatever, but he let it slide because it was his friend on the pitch and he didn't want to put him in an awkward situation. He said that in a podcast.
He did. That is true. That is true. So Chris and I have been having a lot of really good conversations around this, and I'm very anti-VAR. I don't want it. I don't care. Like somehow football became the most popular sport in the world over 150 years. And in 5 years, we've seemed to undo it. And one of the things I think about with the laws of the game is we get into a black and white interpretation of the laws of the game, when really what we want is accuracy, but not precision, right? We don't really want to put the X on the hair and have every perfect side. We just don't want guys goal hanging. And if it's wrong sometimes, that's fine, right? But the referee needs to be the judge and adjudicator on the field in the moment with the feeling of the crowd, because the crowd are a part of it, right? And if we want it to be perfect, we have to accept that he's trying to go with the flow of the game. And my point is more on the red cards, right? Like when Jota got the second red in the Spurs game, I thought that's a mistake, even though it's actually a yellow. Don't call that because you ruined the game. Or Kovacic against Arsenal.
You put in
Kovacic against Arsenal. I didn't want him to get a red because that would have ruined that game.
Because you think the referee should take in consideration the spirit of the game, but
just what it means in that moment for the fans, for the spectacle, for the Premier League. We've got to have
at this point we know that the VAR is sucking right now, but
I don't think so.
But well, okay, Steve doesn't think though. But my question is more of let me ask Will this because he's a Spurs fan and let me see what he thinks. Should Arteta get banned because of what he said? Did he go too far? According to what Laurent was talking about, that you got to have regulations or whatever. But do you think he went too far that he should be banned?
I'm going too far. I mean, he didn't cuss nobody, but I have a different view on this. And especially this season. Do I think the VAR has been crap? Yes. Do I think they've made a lot of mistakes this season? Yes. Do I think that they're officiating the game by the letter of the law? No. But to be honest with you, as far as fans uniting, until Spurs start getting that same treatment, right? Watch any other channel. Let's talk about a big one that does the shows, cheated, robbed, or whatever. You haven't seen Spurs robbed once this season, right? And you got that guy from Wolves slapping Son straight in the face. Nobody says Spurs robbed, but Arsenal's guy gets a forearm to the back of the head while he's running away, and it's Arsenal robbed. Should have been sent off for blah blah play. Look, you got to start treating everybody the same, right? You can't be bantering Tottenham. The Reece James elbow, it's clear as day if you watch the video. Arm comes out, smacks him straight in the face when Udoji's standing on the ground, right? By the letter of the law, that is violent contact and you're sent off, right? Period. When you go by the letter of the law. When you watch these little videos that the league comes out with their VRO post matches, right? And you look at the Romero red card, which wasn't a tackle or a challenge, and the VAR spends 35 minutes drawing lines up some guy's butt, right? Looks at the Romero and goes, yeah, that's a penalty. Here, look at this one angle. And the referee's like, let me see it at full speed. Okay, red card, right? And it's 10 seconds for that, which is not even a tackle or a challenge, according to the letter of the law. The definitions defined by IFAB, right? But they're going to send it. They spend no time on that. Send Romero off, give him a red card for something that wasn't even a foul, according to the letter of the law. And then you scrutinate somebody's backside being offside. And look, freedom of speech. I'm sorry, but you live in the UK. There is no freedom of speech in the UK. And then two, it's a private organization, and they can set laws and fire people or hire people or suspend people all they want.
But ultimately, though, Will, you were mentioning that I guess Arteta complains and he talks about it. But at the end of the day, is he not supposed to talk about what he feels is unjust in his club?
No comment. That's all you got to say.
So he's not supposed to. He's not supposed to. But some Spurs, if they get affected by one of these plays, some people might say,
being down to 9 against Chelsea wasn't affected. Of course.
No, what I'm saying is, like, maybe some Spurs fans
our best center back sent off for 3 games for something that wasn't even a foul according to the letter of the law 12.3 and 12.1 for people.
We got into this.
As fans, you need to read the laws of the game.
Let me take Hamza's take.
Doing this by your feelings of, oh yeah, he got studs up, man. Not in the law.
Let me get Hamza's take because Hamza's out there. Look at him. He got the biggest cup in the world. Eating cereal.
He's on his Twitter space. He's chilling, man.
So Hamza,
Sports Direct. Fox Sports
Direct. Strasbourg.
Hamza.
Oh, from Newcastle.
Yeah, that's right. So do you think
they destroyed Newcastle?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about this, man? Should Arteta be banned? What are we looking at, actually? I mean, how long could he be banned from the sideline?
It's just going to be like a red card.
I think
2-3 games.
He's a top coach. He's a top coach, but I think the question is about because he hasn't won anything and he's desperate to win something major, I think the pressure's on him. And I think it got to him. You could see against Newcastle. Should he be banned? Listen, you should be allowed to say whatever you want. I think you should be allowed, as long as you're not swearing whatever it is. You're allowed to rant. That's part of sport. Why should you? But the problem in England, they don't want you to criticize an official because they know the day we start doing that, we'll start questioning the regulation and everything else, because it brings sports into integrity, like in terms of like the officials, are they fair? Are they just, they want the managers to just to accept what they've
I
been
don't mean to
given.
interrupt. I don't mean to interrupt. I want to throw this in there real quickly,
please.
right? Like, look at what happened though, right? Because of the Liverpool thing, right? And the big deal that all of the media, the Klopp made for that. Look how long it's taking now for them to deliberate VAR calls. 5, 6, 7 minutes are being added on to every single half, right? Like that Spurs game that we played against Chelsea was over 120 minutes long with a 90-minute game. Right? The Wolves game that we ended up conceding 2 goals in the 7th minute was longer than it should have been. Right?
Respect, Gary O'Neill, legend.
Right. This is what I'm saying. This is
Newcastle
impacting games because managers are moaning.
Liverpool, Newcastle last year.
I don't want to hear about Newcastle, Liverpool. We lost the game in the last minute. That ain't no
last minute. But it was 6 minutes when they added 98.
It's not no clock fault.
One thing
about we defend in the last minute?
I mean, but Steve, if you had more minutes than
under huge pressure, like in terms of I think there's a lot of his signings have been questionable by his own fan base. Like I'll tell you what, Havertz's been questioned. Raya's signing's been questioned. They don't like that was supposed to be a replacement for Ramsdale. That's been questioned.
Okay.
Fabio Vieira has been questioned. Jorginho's signing has been questioned. Zinchenko's signing has been questioned now. Yeah, we're hearing Arsenal questioning a lot of the Arteta signing. It's because he hasn't won anything. There's pressure on him now. And I think the pressure has got to him because City have raised that standard that I dare you draw a game. We'll see you later. He knows the errors. You cannot make mistakes. And he knows City, when they get into that gear and Pep drills him and De Bruyne is back, he's seen them for 3 years. Chris, he's seen them in years in training. He's seen what Pep does in training. He knows they're monsters. So he knows that, God.
I would agree with you, Hamza. I think that is a thing that I think is fair. Like this goes back to some of that other stuff. City have raised the levels, and I think like the Nuevo Clasico that I call Liverpool versus City is coming after this break. It's going to be the highest level game that there is because it is the most intense. It is the best players in the world with the 2 best coaches in the world. And City do raise the level. And I think you're right. I think Arteta does know that if you draw, you're in trouble. Liverpool, no. Ask any Liverpool fan. They lost 2 games and lost the league. 2 games.
That's crazy.
Right? Okay, so the one point that Hamza brought up was the Ramsdale situation, and let's just briefly talk on because this is really a subject. I mean, we could talk about it, but not that long. I mean, Ramsdale and his daddy coming out and talking about my son not playing, kind of like a typical American, high school.
Reina Berhalter.
We got the Reina Berhalter situation, but
don't say the B word. Do not say the B word.
But I mean, I think anybody, all of us can. Well, I don't know. I guess if you think that Ramsdale didn't deserve to come out, I was one of the people that didn't really understand the move. I'm a fan of managers doing what makes sense and not playing Football Manager literally and just moving stuff for no reason. I think that Ramsdale, but to some people that he might feel that he might have done enough to get out. At the end of the day, he's still a professional, an adult, and if he's out, he's out. So
here's the thing. Let's just be clear about Ramsdale. This is a twice relegated Premier League goalkeeper. Okay, it's not like it's Peter Cech out there.
But he was the goalkeeper that was part of Arsenal when they almost won the league last season.
He's okay. What I will say for him is he does bring spirit. He is connected to the fans, and I think that part Arteta discounted, that whole connective tissue to the fans. Right. I think what he liked from Raya, because I'm a stat nerd and I go on FB Ref, a shout out to Sean Foreman and the FB Ref machine. Raya was one of the top goalkeepers in this concept of shots of goals prevented. The idea that how do you attribute a save to a goalkeeper that would have gone in? So high value shots based on XG that he saved. And he was in the top grouping there. And he liked the long balls that he would play to Tony and the way that he would throw. And he thought that Raya would get the team moving and be a better shot stopper than Ramsdale with little less emotion. I think he discounted the emotion part because I think Arteta thought, I'm super emotional. The team is picking up on me. I don't need my keeper to be that way. I need my keeper to be chill. And they're relatively close in skill. I'll go with this new guy.
So go ahead and Giuseppe, tell me what you think about this one before we move on to
Yeah. So first of all, with the Ramsdale thing, boo-hoo, mate. You're on 120 grand a week. Life isn't fucking fair, mate. Yeah, how about that? Yeah. We like everyone has stuff that happens at work that we don't like. We can't go moaning about it. We don't go on there and start going this and that and getting our dads involved. You don't do that. You're a man. You're an adult. You're a 24. I don't care, innit? I love Ramsdale. I'm a Ramsdale fan, but at the end of the day, that's not a good look. His dad's got to sort himself out, in my opinion, mate. Like, you don't do that. Like, yes, it's a bit unfair. I won't say it's not unfair. He just got kicked out for no reason. But at the same time, I said it before, life isn't fair. Earn your place back. If you can't earn your place back, leave. You know, if you're not, listen, at the end of the day, if the manager thinks this guy's going to be an improvement, he's going to go with that. Now, I think that Raya hasn't been as bad as has been made out. I think it's been made out to be worse. You got to remember, he's coming to a team, a much bigger team. There's already pressure on him, and the fans and the media and everyone has put even more pressure on him because of this whole Ramsdale. Why is Ramsdale not in the team? Why do you care? Why do you care? Who moans at fucking Pep Guardiola when Foden's sitting on the bench week in, week out?
Yeah, that's a good point.
On the bench week in, week out. Oh, Grealish should
City
start
fans
over
too.
Doku.
We're always wondering where the fuck Pep Roulette, man. We have a thing. It's called Pep Roulette. We're like, who the hell's playing?
So at the end of the day, for me, to get I don't know. He might not have asked his dad. His dad.
No, of course, but you got to keep him in check. You got
his dad, exactly. You've got to say. But what don't help about that same situation now is like that same time you're hearing the interview with Ramsdale, him saying about his concentration issue and stuff. Now, listen, everyone's got probably that issue where you can all agree that there's times we can't concentrate, but you don't come out and say that. You're meant to be a professional goalkeeper. How can you come out and say that and then be moaning about not playing the game? Because now people are starting to side with Arteta going, maybe Arteta's seen something in training, seen something in matches about your concentration, and that's why he's looking to replace you. He hasn't helped himself, this whole situation.
Yeah, he's a little too Pickford for me, is what I think.
Let's move on to the next subject.
I just want to say something real quick. Ramsdale,
go ahead, Steve.
Adderall.
Yeah, I'm glad that was the name of it. I was hoping it wasn't something else we're advertising.
That's how you focus, bro. That's how you focus.
But
not in England. It's beer.
Just to finish up. Let's talk about Sir Jim Ratcliffe coming on the scene. Apparently, it's gonna happen at some point that he might be confirmed as the 21st.
Thing is, they lost their CEO. He got fired.
Yeah, he got fired. Right. But a lot of people are liking that because he was close to the Glazers, etc. Now, some people relate that to the fact that Jim Ratcliffe is going to be announced as the 25% owner of Manchester United. We don't know that it's a deal. Hold on, let me introduce the subject. We don't know that he wants it to be like eventually I own 100%. So maybe that's been agreed on. We don't know yet. But at the end of the day, the biggest thing right now, reported by the Daily Mail, who's never wrong, that former legendary boss Sir Alex Ferguson is part of his plans to kind of, help him sort out this United catastrophe that's been happening for over 10 years. So, whoever wants to take a shot at it, let me know what you think on this situation. Fergie is 300 years old.
You cannot go back. It never works. It will not work. Ferguson was old when he left. He knew that the game had left him and went by him. He knew when to leave. The man has perfect instincts. He completely understood the moment and left at the perfect time. because even that last United team that won, they gave up the most goals for any team ever to win the title. They were in the 50s. They knew they just tried to outscore people. So I don't think that's a mistake. I think there is value in having Ferguson involved, but let's remember, what was Ferguson's last decision? Selecting David Moyes. Right? So, let's pump the brakes on that.
But go ahead. Finish.
No. I do think that turmoil, that changeover, it's still not going to be good, right? Listen, Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos, what do they run? They run Nice. They're having a decent season. They have a couple other teams. What is the track record of those clubs? That's what I want. I want the expose on, okay, these guys know how to run football clubs. What are they doing that's good? Like, why do United fans think that just because this guy's come in, it's going to get better?
Because maybe he's going to take control of 100% of the football decisions, which is amazing for the Glazers because they don't give a damn. They want to get their check every month. Might be a little bit less, but at the end of the day, they're still going to get paid. So,
it's
and
weird.
eventually, they're not going to be at fault. Nobody's going to look at them and say, "Why is
it's a perfect situation. If it goes bad, they blame the Ratcliffe. If it goes well, they're geniuses for letting the Ratcliffes run it."
Exactly. So, what else do you guys think? Will, what are your takes on this deal? Can actually something get better? I mean, United is a bad team, even though somehow, I don't know, somehow they're still 6th, 7th in the league.
It's all Bruno Fernandes. He just wins games for them.
Yeah,
randomly.
That's true. But who else wants to take a shot at this?
Bro, I don't care what they do. I really don't. If they were in the Carabao Cup in this year, yeah, I would care because they could knock us out. But they didn't. They had their chance and they failed. Like, they're just not who they used to be, and the fact that they're still leaning on the poor old guy.
Nobody thinks that Ratcliffe can actually fix something.
No, because the Glaze is still there.
Yeah, but they're not going to make any decisions. Footballing decisions.
No. They are the 75% shareholders. They are the owners. They will have the final say if they want to.
No, correct. I don't think Jim.
They will have
Jim is no pushover. If
they let's say that there's a free agent out there that would make them a lot of money commercially, but Ten Hag doesn't want him or whatever, they're gonna make the guy sign him instead of the talented young Ecuadorian who is better than the old player in the prime. They will always take the commercial side. AKA
that's the part that's super tricky. Like, this idea that the football side is being run by one person, but not. It's got to be connected. This is the whole problem with United. They're not connected at all. The idea that there's a football side that's not connected to the business side doesn't make any sense, because let's think about Brighton, right? Brighton, we all agree, are one of the better run clubs in the division, along with say Brentford, right?
Yeah.
Pervis Estupiñán is being called the best left back in the division, right?
He's up,
but he doesn't sell shirts, right? That's not who you go by, right? Yeah. You don't. Højlund is a handsome young guy. You go by him, but it's not, a Dingra that you get as a winger. Instead, you get someone like Garnacho, who has a look, who has a feel, who has a flair. So those things have to be connected. And then how do you appease the sort of like, we need to sell shirts? The marketing department calls in and says, we need to sell shirts. Oh, let's sign Ronaldo. He's available. Like, how does that part really work? And that's where there's a disconnect that I don't see how it works properly. And then the other piece is the CEO being removed. The idea that the football person is going to select the CEO seems weird. I would imagine that the Glazers, who are the business owners, want the CEO in place. And if they're going to see that, then again, get your resumes ready. This is why United is a mess. Think about if you guys have ever worked anywhere where they're changing bosses, or the company's being sold, or they're having layoffs. Everyone is a rat and the boat is going down and they want to get out. And that's why United is such a mess, because it feels like it's going down, and it is.
All right. Just to finish up, because that way we touch on every subject that we set out to talk about. Just quickly, 5 minutes max. The Premier League is about to get rammed by the Saudi money. From the Sun describes that Mo Salah is being looked at. I don't know if January, but he's getting looked at. And of course, he was just subject to a 150 million pound bid this summer. Didn't go through, mainly because of him, I think. But I want to get Will's perspective on, because apparently Son and Richarlison are also big targets for some Saudi Pro League clubs, and that would be devastating, I would say. And to be honest with you, I wouldn't put it past them to not try.
I mean, they already went in for Son this summer. Son turned him down. He said he's not leaving Tottenham. He's not done there yet. So that one won't happen. I'm worried about that one. The Richarlison one, they can have him. I'll drive him to the airport. I'll fly to London to take him to the airport.
I completely.
You would go in debt. You would go in debt for them to take him off.
If they can get their money back for Richarlison, that would be the steal of the century.
Heck yeah, man.
How much did they pay for to Everton?
And Everton's trying to say that we should have paid 80 million for the.
Yeah.
Is that part of the
Yes.
They claimed 80 million on their books, saying that we intended to play 80 million for Richarlison.
Wow.
And we only paid 55.
That's epic. You know what? That's a 10-point deduction right there.
That's a 10-point deduction just in and of itself. It's like, are you kidding me?
Valuing
Richarlison. We paid 20 million more than we should have played. We probably paid 40
No,
million more than we should have paid.
You paid 55 million more than he's fucking worth. Let's just be honest.
So now they can have the he can go play for that club. That's what apparently they're inviting Saudi clubs to the Champions League now, which doesn't make sense.
I don't think that would.
They won't. That's again clickbait. That's international stuff.
Yeah.
Imagine telling a Saudi team, "Hey, you're gonna go play Maccabi Tel Aviv, in Israel." Yeah, how's that gonna go?
Yeah.
It's gonna go great. What do you mean? Everything's fine.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I wouldn't.
Well, around the world
makes the world go round.
I definitely wouldn't underestimate them, because they spend over 784 million pounds this summer.
All right. Before we go, because I don't get to see you guys that often, I have one. We can probably wrap up. Let's do this. What do you guys got for the top 4 in the Premier League? Let's go, Steve. Go.
Okay, Man City winning the league by like 10 or 15, then Liverpool. It's not gonna be close, really. Yeah, I'll go with Liverpool. They're gonna have they'll get second, and again a 10-point gap on third place. Third place will be, I don't know. Is it Arsenal? No, I'll go with the wild card here. I'll say
Just gotta be Arsenal. I think Arsenal's gonna be
come out of
first.
Your mouth.
No, I'll go Spurs.
And I think you said Spurs are gonna be third.
Sure.
And who's fourth?
I wouldn't be surprised.
And fourth place, I'll go Villa. It's their time.
Oh wow.
Hamza, what do you got for us?
What? Arsenal's not even getting top 4.
I think City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and then I think.
Come on, man. I'm making
You're
your
not
thumb
my guy
guys.
anymore.
Better give me some
By
love.
the way, I don't believe the
Tottenham or
prediction.
Newcastle. I think Newcastle don't make it and they sack Eddie Howe.
Oh wow, nice, good
Ooh,
pick.
Hamza's scared. Ooh.
Yeah.
All right. Well, who do you got? Who do you got?
That's all right. We'll bring in Mourinho. That's fine.
Yeah,
City, Liverpool,
Mourinho's the guy.
Tottenham, Arsenal,
That is all.
Villa.
Villa.
You think?
Everybody likes Villa.
You think Tottenham is gonna be third? Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Giuseppe.
City, Arsenal, Liverpool, and you know what? This without no point deductions, there's this thing that tells you that.
Oh well.
No, I'm joking. Yeah, I was gonna say Chelsea to wind one. I'll go Spurs. I'll say Spurs.
No way Chelsea goes up. But be
Spurs
careful. If City get relegated,
Chris, who do you got? Who do you
the
got?
spot is open. Oh, I think it's going to be City the winning, Liverpool, Arsenal, and Newcastle. I think that's the way it's going to be.
All right,
guys.
I have gone with Arsenal all year. I'm going to stick with Arsenal. I think no one's winning 4 in a row. City will finish second. We're weak. I don't like what I see.
I did say they're weak, yeah.
And then I think our City will finish second, Liverpool in third. And I really, really loved Spurs to make it because they got so many points early, and no team with as many points as they got in the first 10 games has ever finished out of the top 4. I'm going to put Spurs there ahead of Villa.
All right. On that note, we are finishing here. Thank you to everybody that's been watching. Please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, subscribe to all these guys' channels. Really great content. Spurs content down here with Will. You got Steve that watches every single game in the history of football. And of course, Arsenal with Giuseppe, Unbiased Sport. And my man Hamza's got a new channel popping. City stuff, rants, he's always against Arsenal, against every other team. I'm playing. But no, great content as well. So subscribe to all of them, and we'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.